Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning LaLa. And I'm so excited to welcome Colin Egglesfield to the show. He is the agile artist with life lessons from Hollywood. I don't know how you figured out how to dive in as long as you did, but thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Excited to have you.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration for this book?
So, I've been working in Hollywood for the past 20 years. Never thought that this would be something that I'd be doing. I've always been creative and felt like I wanted to do kind of something different. I actually studied biology, pre-med, was planning to go to medical school. And I randomly heard on the radio about this model talent search thing. So I went to that 3 months later. I was walking down runway shows in Milan, Italy, and I think you've done some modeling.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of started, my world started to open up when I realized that when you just get out of your comfort zone, take risks, it just different worlds can open up and different opportunities. And I just kind of kept walking through these doors, ended up in New York City. And growing up, I just kind of felt like I never really truly found what really mattered to me or like what I was passionate about. I was going along the whole medical school route, but it never really felt like this was what I really wanted to do. And I've met a lot of people who are kind of in that same situation where they're trying to figure out life or they're in a different place in their life, whether it's like getting a divorce or they're changing jobs. And for me, learning as an actor, all these amazing skills on how to deal with change and how to really fully get in touch with who you are to manifest whatever it is that you want to have in life. So the reason why I wrote Agile Artist was because I feel like there's a lot of principles and things that I wanted to share with the world, especially after living through the World Trade Center experience and overcoming cancer twice. Wow. There's a lot of things that I learned through those life-altering events that I felt like could benefit a lot of people who are going through the same thing.
Wow. So of course you can't summarize the whole book, and we won't anyway, but that's why people can buy it. But I'd love to hear sort of some of the life lessons that you've sort of learned along the way. I mean, cancer twice is incredibly successful career as a model, as an actor. What have you learned along the way that's been most helpful?
So the first thing that I recognized was I was living across the street from the World Trade Center when all of that happened. So when I woke up that morning and I went to my window and I saw the buildings on fire, the thing that changed my life forever was seeing the people trapped up above the flames. And then I started to see some of the people leaping out of the windows. Horrendous. But in that moment, it made me realize that, you know what, life is short. And I guarantee you, if those people had a second chance at life, they would have done anything that really mattered to them. And it made me realize I'd been studying acting for about 3 years up until that point. And it wasn't something that I was really sure about. I mean, I grew up skinny and insecure, and I never really felt like, I was like the man or anything. So the idea of going out to Hollywood and being like, Tom Cruise, and it just was like so incomprehensible to me that I was just like, I don't know, maybe I could do this. But once that incident happened with the World Trade Center, it made me realize, you know what, life is short. If you really care about something, because it was something that I fell in love with, you know what, go do it.
Right. And it's a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier, how, life's not always great, the things that happen, but it always is there to, disasters happen, things like, 9/11 happens, and it shifts our values. It gives us, even the hardest things sometimes can be great blessings even for our country in some bizarre, twisted way.
Exactly. And so in Agile Artist, I talk about how to reframe a context to make it more empowering instead of disempowering.
Love that.
Because I'm sure, like, as you guys always talk about, it's about creating that empowering context, because those negative thoughts in our head will always try to, keep us safe.
So when do you think we should do
in our comfort zone?
Like the art of allowing versus taking action, like we talked earlier? Like when do you just allow and know it's all working out for my highest good versus like this emotion is telling me I need to take action?
So like you were saying earlier, emotions are good. And as actors, especially as men, a man growing up in the Midwest, I never felt like it was safe to express my true
like anger is the only okay emotion.
Seriously.
It wasn't until I got into acting class that I felt like I had the permission to really tap into my emotions and let them out. So I encourage everyone to Go into an acting class, take an improv class. Because a lot of people I meet, they're so heady and so analytical. And they're like, hello, I'm Steve Johnson, and nice to meet you. And and then you look at a clip of Marlon Brando from Streetcar Named Desire, and he's just like, he's so connected to his gut and his heart. And I talk about in our Agile Artist, when your mind, body, and spirit are all connected, then that's when the magic happens.
What does that magic feel like?
Oh my God, it's amazing. You put movies with Kate Hudson and Sylvester Stallone. I just was on set with Sylvester Stallone last year. A movie I did with him called Backtrace just came out. And literally, like when I was 8 years old and I saw Rocky, after I came back from seeing the movie, I literally jumped out of my car and I ran around my block because I was like so inspired. And then like 30 years later, to be on set with my boyhood idol, I was like, you know what? This can happen. And people are like, well, it happened to you, but it could never happen to me. Well, then, you know what? If that's the way you think, that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it is.
So inspiring.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most important, significant decision or commitment you've made in your life? Is it the commitment to act? Is it the commitment to
never give up?
Never give up.
Never give up. If what you truly love lights you up, so I've done the statistics. I've gone on about 2,000 auditions in my 20-year acting career. If you go on my IMDb page, I have about 43 credits. That's a 2% success rate.
Thank you.
So that's like 98% rejection.
Yeah.
So people say, like, how can you like keep going if you've been rejected and heard no so many times? And it's because I just wake up in the morning, I love what I do. I don't look at it as rejection. I don't take it personally. Of course, when you go through the 6th audition and it's down between you and the final guy, and you're in the Warner Brothers lot, and you're like, oh man, this is exciting, and you see the contract, and you're signing the contracts you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna make this amount of money, and then you do the audition, you act your heart out, you go, you leave 2 hours later, your manager calls you up, and you're like, and you're like, of course it stings, but I get up the next morning and
do it again.
Just do it again because I have to. I just have to. And if you haven't found that in your life, it's going to be very hard for you to keep continuing. It's not necessarily what you're aspiring to. It's what you're willing to sacrifice and how much are you willing to endure to get to where you want to go.
Well, I'm expecting you to get up on the couch right now and jump. It feels a little bit like that right now.
What are you most excited about right now?
My book. Like, I really, truly am excited about having written this. Agile Artist is something that I never really thought I'd be writing a book, but once and this is one of those things where I recently moved back to Chicago. I wasn't happy here in Los Angeles, and I kind of felt like I was starting to go into my auditions with that negative, jaded attitude. So I felt like I just needed to push the reset button. I'm not giving up on acting. I just felt like, you know what, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and trying to expect the same results. I felt like I needed to remove myself from my environment to get back to my roots. So I moved back to Chicago, and mind, body, and spirit, I moved back there, and I was like, I feel like I'm back home. I booked a movie the second week I was in Chicago. I did 2 episodes of Chicago Fire.
Yes.
I just did a TV pilot. I randomly was speaking at this entrepreneurial event because I also rehab houses in the south side of Chicago. And by the way, 10% of the proceeds of Agile Artist go towards creating a community arts center in the south side.
That's great.
But this woman randomly came up to me and said, have you ever written a book? And I mean, she just
came to you.
It's like what you attract.
Yes.
You're in that place where you're connected.
But I think you make
Yeah.
a great point, and you answered, in my opinion, how the difference between when to have the art of allowing versus taking inspired action. Sometimes you got to go to the art of allowing to just get in that feeling that's allowing, the things. Sometimes we're blocking it just because we're not in that good vibe, you know. So where can people find your book? How can they find you? You're amazing.
You can, just came out on Saturday. It's on Amazon.com. And I'm super excited. There's a lot of everything in there for everyone. And I'm excited to hear what people say about it.
Congratulations.
So inspiring, brother.
So
Appreciate it.
inspiring. Amazing.
Thank
Stay
you.
tuned. We'll be right back.